Hiya peoples, here I am again! Silliness aside, I hope you guys are doing good today. My randomness is coming out. Anyways, it's time for yet another video, and this is gonna be like the second to last video of the Ignaetious children. After that, I'm gonna have to figure out something else to do. So if you guys have any suggestions, go ahead and tell me. Otherwise, I'll figure it out. Maybe like a story time or something. I don't know. And before I forget, I'm going to apologize now because I realized something when I first started coloring this drawing it. I did the entire background without recording it on accident, and I apologize. I didn't mean to. I realized 30 minutes in, I was like, I just finished it, and I was like, moving on. I was like, wait, I'm not recording. I was like, damn it. Sorry about that. But there's that explanation. I'll try to remember next time. Alright, moving on. So, allow me to introduce Cole and Julie Ignaetious. They are both dwarven children, originally raised by dwarves until they joined the orphanage, which is still fairly young. So their parents were actually friends, and their parents were warriors who joined the national military of Allium to assist in the war. But that wasn't a big deal. It's not like it affected Cole and Julie much as far as like their raising goes. See, in Dwarven culture, it is pretty much the embodiment of the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child when it comes to children. Although the entire village looks after and cares for the children, there are generally one or two brood mothers, as I say, in the village, whose sole job is to watch and care for the children. So this is how Cole and Julie were raised, much like all the other kids of the village. But they still enjoyed their parents' visits, and as they are their parents after all. And as happy as both the children were whenever their parents would come to visit, when their parents had to leave again and were away, Cole and Julie's behaviors would be very different from one another. Julie would swear every time they left, next time, it won't be a visit. Next time, Mommy and Daddy will be war heroes, and they'll never ever leave again. Which, you know, childish beliefs. But innocent, because that's kind of what she was at the time. Cole, however, is both cursed and gifted, as he's extremely brilliant, especially compared to other dwarves. Dwarves are not known for their intelligence levels. This resulted in Cole having a strong understanding of reality, more than he really ought to have at such a young age, causing him to be very cynical. He couldn't fool himself. The odds of his parents coming out of the war at all were low, and this obviously depressed him. When one cannot fool themselves of reality, usually one relies on distracting themselves from it. However, unfortunately for Cole, dwarves don't have schools. At least not dwarven villages. Dwarven culture was to allow children to learn by exploring the world around them, rather than through long lectures and boring books. In fact, concerning books, most dwarves in dwarven villages cannot read. It's generally considered a useless skill. Julie is fine with this because she took well to finding and identifying gems and making pretty things out of all the beautiful rocks she found. And if she wasn't doing that, she was playing with other kids or speaking with one of the brood mothers. She was treated pretty well, as she was kind of the baby of the village. Cole doesn't have much interest in the world around him, though. He would do very well in like a school, but like I said, there are no schools. So that he has no friends because he's generally considered freaky because of his brain basically being better than the other kids. He speaks in a way that they don't understand very well. Like, it's not normal for kids his age, basically, because he's 4. So, you know, the way he speaks is more advanced than the kids his age, and it freaks him out. Anyways, and despite the efforts of the brood mothers, they struggle to talk to him as well, because it's creepy. They try, it's still creepy. And Cole doesn't really want to talk. So, because of this, Cole is usually found sitting alone, thinking of heavy things he should not be thinking of. His only distraction ever, in very short bursts, are when Julie comes and insists he plays with her. Because that's one of the only attachments he has, aside from his parents. Needless to say, neither of them took it very well when the inevitable news came. Their parents, KIA, which stands for killed in action, of course. In response to this, Julie grew distant, rarely ever leaving Cole's side, while Cole withdrew more than he already was, away from the rest of the village. He didn't sit outside and do his sitting alone. He went inside. He's not alone, but he's still sitting in the quiet with no talking and just thinking in his house all the time. Well, Rude brothers were gonna have it, and they kicked him outside and was like, you can sit outside, it's fine. Sit alone, but you're doing it outside, damn it. So one day, he and Julie were sitting outside, when their village had a bunch of strange visitors come in. There was a dwarf among them, but she didn't act like a dwarf. Exactly, she kinda did. He and Julie watched all the children for a while, observed them for a good while, and Cole eventually notices that two of them are walking toward them. Two purple children. The smaller one was tugging at the older one and looking at him expectantly. And it was then the older one started to talk to them. First, talking about how Cole and Julie had never seen anyone who wasn't a dwarf. That the two people they were talking to, the two purple kids, were demons. And that the bundle in the older one's arms was a pixie baby. That interested Cole, and Julie was curious to see the baby. She'd never seen a baby after all. As I said before, she is the youngest of the whole village. She was like 3. Percy, the older demon boy, smiled at them and handed Julie the baby and began rummaging in his bag. And as he did Julie was enamored with this child. It had aquamarine skin and sapphire eyes, and the hair, was it more like amethyst or sugilite? It's either one, but it was still amazing. And she was wondering if all babies look like bundles of little gems. Theoretically, that might be a bad thing, but that's fine. However, Percy found what he was looking for. It was a book titled Races of Allium, a brief synopsis. He gave it to Cole, took the gem baby back, and went back towards his group. And that night, Cole poured himself for the book. He'd never seen a book before, and although he loved it, he had no idea why they wasted so much space with black squiggles. Needless to say, Cole could not read. He went to ask Percy about it the next day, and Julie came too. She wanted to see the gem baby again. Gem baby! Percy laughed when he asked, just a little, and then he looked at Cole with a bit of a sad look in his eyes, and he said he really didn't have time. Well, he told Cole that, they're words, you read them, but he also explained that he didn't have time to teach Cole to read, as the group was going to be leaving tomorrow. But he'd read a little bit to Cole now if he'd liked. And he handed Julie the baby again, and Julie was like, oh my god, the baby ate a pink sapphire. It's turned its skin pink because, the blue baby was, for the love of Sky. The blue baby was Sky, of course, and then the pink one was Aurora, and they're twins. So as far as she was concerned, the baby ate a freaking pink sapphire, turned pink. Oh god, what did the baby do? But of course she was enamored with it once again. It was like, the baby can change colors. Again, this is probably a bad thing, because she's probably gonna start trying to feed baby gems and be like, change your skin color. But that's beside the fact. Alright, so, yeah, Julie had the baby, and Percy would start reading a couple pages on a couple pages or so on, like, every race. Cole was just absolutely enchanted, especially when the book knew things about the Dwarven race that no one in his village knew, at least to his knowledge. He was sad when Percy had to stop. Sad that all the new interesting kids were leaving. Sad that he'd never learned to read. And this sadness helped him make his decision. That night, he woke Julie up and told her he was leaving. He wanted to leave and learn more cool things and be around people where he wasn't creepy, and he wanted her to know that before he left. But Julie was like, I'm going with you. I'm not staying here. And it wasn't because of the gem babies, but because, like, Cole was her only family left, and she didn't want to lose him. Though the gem babies are very enticing. She was like, gem babies? Life of gem babies. She might not realize they grow up eventually at this point. I don't know. I'm not in her head. She's in my head. Alright, that's beside. So, in the early hours of the next morning, they packed their bags and left. And they met up with the other kids before the kids were started setting off, and basically announced they're going with them. And at this point, everyone was used to it and went on their merry way to the next town, hopefully to their next home. Whether there is or is not is my business, not yours yet. Maybe. But there was always one thing Cole found weird. When he and Jolie came up to the group that morning, the smaller demon boy, Dion, smiled at them, and it looked like he was waiting for them. It was very strange. But that's it. We're all done with that now. This is the story of Cole and Julie, and I hope y'all liked it. And that's it now. And the next one will be Orus and Vita, and they'll be the last Ignaetious children, and I'll figure out what to do for the next week. So with that, that's all. Comment if you're curious about something, or if you just want to say something. Like if you liked, sub if you wish, and finally, have fun, guys. Bye-bye, y'all.